So I'll try and entertain you for the next 20 or so minutes. Appreciate the introduction. So Boxever, we're a solution provider. We've a customer intelligence cloud, and we work with travel brands to help them personalize their experiences for their customers at every step of the life cycle. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that means. First of all, I'm sure many of you have had this type of situation. I know I have. You get off the plane after a long flight. Where's my bag? And as technologists, it's so frustrating because you think, why couldn't they have told me? Why am I sitting here in this scenario when they've known all along my bag didn't make it on the plane? So we keep hearing that we live in a real-time, hyper-connected world. So why aren't airlines and travel brands real-time and hyper-connected? Why are we still having those kinds of lousy experiences? That's a really bad experience, but why are we having mediocre experiences? And why are we having experiences that maybe are different depending on where we touch the brand, whether it's call center, whether it's on the website, whether it's through a mobile device? This is an interesting picture. Some of you may have seen it before. This is a photograph taken in 2005 at the inauguration of Pope Benedict XVI. And this picture is a picture of the subsequent inauguration in 2013 of Pope Francis. What's really striking here is a number of people using digital devices to take photographs. I think in the last one I counted literally one person with one of the old flip phones trying to take a bad picture. The fact is that people, we are hyper-connected. We are linked together. We are digitally transformed. And whether an organization wants to do it or not, they have to be transformed themselves. And what happens is that when you have an experience like that in the baggage carousel, we're expecting the brands that we are getting services and products from to be as connected as we are, to have the kind of information that we have at our fingertips. It's a big, big problem. The other side of it, though, is that if you're working for one of the big, in our case, a travel brand like an airline, the vendor landscape is really, really confusing. How many people have seen this marketing technology, Lumascape? Not many. Okay, well, that's probably good because it's a complete eye chart. It's impossible to read it. But this is a picture of all of the different players in the ad tech, martech, CRM tech space. And there's a huge explosion of vendors in this space. There's a lot of talk about channels, about data, about predictive, about artificial intelligence, around technology. And people who are in a marketing function are very much thinking about those areas. If you go to one of these conferences, that's all they're talking about. But ultimately, though, the customer just wants experiences. They want a consistent and good experience with the brand at every single point that they touch it, whether it's on the call center, mobile, in cabin, in airport. So we've served the airline and travel industry for the last 4 years. So I want to kind of share some of the insights that we've learned from this industry. We were founded with a very simple belief. The more you actually know your customer, the more value you can give. It's very, very straightforward, but why is that such a challenge to deliver for a brand or an industry like an airline, like an online travel agency? Well, the first fact is that airlines have lots and lots and lots of data. They've been around for a while. They're one of the first industries to actually deliver an online experience for their consumers. They've data about what you're doing on the website, what you've bought, what you're doing on your mobile app, your loyalty program. Then they've data around operational systems like your baggage, your check-in, data around the flights that you're on. They've tons and tons and tons of data. But what's interesting is, this is a very startling kind of comment, that an airline can tell you how many passengers they've flown in a year, but not how many customers they have. That's remarkable. So airlines will quote numbers in terms of passengers flown, but they actually don't think about a customer. They don't have a customer-centric view of their operations. And I suppose, on the one hand, rightly so. They're more interested in getting you safely from point A to point B than trying to sell you more stuff. Only slightly more interested, though, I would maybe argue, but they're definitely interested there. Another big challenge for airlines is same person, different context. How are they to know that you now have taken off your business traveler hat that you've maybe worn for them for the last 3 or 4 of your trips, and now you're actually putting on your leisure traveler hat? you're searching for flights from London to Barcelona. How are they to know that they should offer you ancillaries, i.e. car rental, hotels, maybe package holidays, that relate to the context that you're exhibiting right now, which is, I'm a leisure traveler. I'm traveling with my family. I'm traveling with friends. I'm going to see a football match, for example. How are they to handle that? It's a real challenge for airlines. Same person, but here context is king. What behaviors are you exhibiting right now? How can they capture those behaviors and alter how they personalize the experience for you, in this case, in the booking flow, so that you're more likely to convert? Big shift for airlines is that they've become more like retailers. Some of our customers have brought in people from outside the industry to become CMOs, chief marketing officers, people who are retailers. Why? Because airlines have changed from selling flights to having a much broader retail strategy. And there's an accompanying data challenge associated with this. What are the products that we should offer? When should we offer them? Based on people's context, based on people's previous purchase histories, based on what's happening right now. What we're also seeing is that travelers are expecting far more, not just from their experience with a travel brand, but from retailers in general. So they're expecting more relevant products and services. They're expecting a more coherent experience across multiple devices. In short, what we're finding is that travelers are expecting more, or they're expecting the brand to know what you want. They're expecting that based on who you are, what behaviors you've exhibited before. We know that brands have our data. We know that. And studies have shown that we're okay with that, provided we're getting personalized and relevant offers. We're getting relevant experiences through every cycle, every stage of the cycle with the brand. Personalization now is a huge, huge opportunity, and it's called out by research by VentureBeat. They talk about personalization increasing key metrics like clicks and open rates, conversions. Gartner have talked about the digital customer experience, that the digital customer experience will be the key differentiator for an organization. And if you haven't fully invested in it, then your competitors will outsell you for it. So airlines know this. So what have they tried to do? And I would say this is not just an airline fix. It's actually, you see it in broader retail as well. Loyalty programs. Well, if we have a loyalty program, we can fix this. We can fix the notion of personalization, the challenges associated with personalization, because we know about you, right? We know who you are. We know what status you have. But what's interesting is that research shows that people don't really value loyalty as much as airlines would like them to value it. Only 9%, according to Wakefield Research and Capital One, only 9% of travelers book on loyalty. I went to a travel conference, a travel technology conference recently in New York, and one of the sessions I had was a kind of a forum session, had what they call super travelers. And there was a guy up on stage who travels 200 nights, or he stays in a hotel 200 nights every year. He has 600,000 air miles. So he had a pretty strong point of view about loyalty programs. He said, giving me points is like giving the winner of a hot dog eating contest another hot dog. So the point is that you can have a very strong focus on what you think will be the right outcome, which is a highly personalized experience and increase brand affinity, but actually it can turn backwards on you. So it's not about a one-fix solution. And I'll get to the notion of multiple points in a second. But there's a real battle now going on, not just for who owns the customer, but who earns the customer. The speaker before lunch from TripAdvisor, Google Trips are doing a great job as well around providing you a very personalized and relevant experience about advice, where to go, where to stay, where to eat. But the point here is that regardless of what they do, and they do a great job, giving you very, very relevant, I use these solutions myself. If they point you to an Italian restaurant, it's still the owner of the Italian restaurant who's making the pasta. And if they don't deliver a great experience for you, then the overall customer experience gets diminished. And in fact, if you're the owner of that restaurant, or you're the airline, or you're a retail brand, there's an expectation on your consumers now to follow through that highly personalized, highly relevant experience. So the stakes have been raised. No doubt that loyalty equals great brand experiences and equals real revenue. $600 million for one airline, according to a report by Forrester Research. So if everybody knows this, then why can't they do it? Well, the challenge is around, as always, the data. Regardless whether it's big data or small data, it's a huge, huge challenge. And this is a survey done where we got respondents from airlines. Number one problem, you can't recognize the customers in real time. People are coming on your website. They're not self-identifying. How do you know who they are? If you don't know who they are, how can you personalize the experience for them? No online, offline integration. Big, we see with all of our customers, probably the biggest challenge is this notion of data integration. Integrating legacy systems, particularly with airlines, you're talking 30, 40-year-old code and systems in many, many cases. A huge, huge problem that we face. And silos, and not just technology and data silos, but actually organizational silos. What we've seen with many of our customers, you think about airlines, they're huge, right? You've got organizational silos. You've got people saying, you know what, I'm just focused on the web experience. I'm just focused on the mobile app. I'm just focused on the call center. And these groups, they've competing KPIs, they've got competing data systems, and the end result is one that is negative in most cases for the customer. And here's why. So here's an example of how an airline would see you or I interacting with it. And this is true, I think, I would say, of every retail brand that's out there who has a multi-channel or an omni-channel approach to interacting with consumers. You might have a call center, web, mobile, in-app, or in cabin or in-store kiosk experience. They're seeing you and I, as multiple people. But of course, we're just one person. So what's happening behind the scenes? Travel brands are trying to integrate things like customer data, so capturing all the data that's coming in from a call center, historically as well as real time. What's going on in the e-commerce flow? What's going on your mobile device? Trying to integrate that with product data, things like, in the airline's case, flight, seats on a plane or ancillary product data. And then integrate that with operational data. Literally, has the plane taken off? Has it landed? What's happened to your bag? And it's a complete mess. And this is a very simplified view of the reality of our customers. And so when any one thing breaks, which they often do, or they don't talk to each other, it becomes an absolute nightmare. And people don't even bother. They say, you know what, I'm going to stay focused on my channel. I'm going to stay focused on my KPI. So what we've done is we've kind of turned the whole thing around. We said, let's start with the customer. Let's start with their data around who they are, what they bought, what's going on with them right now, and surround the customer with that data. So the key thing that we answer first is, who is your customer? And so there's essentially 6 key elements around that's related to data around you and I when we're interacting with a brand. On the one hand, you've got behavioral, third-party, and real-time data. And some systems do a great job of capturing and storing, categorizing that, and allowing you to use that data. On the other hand, you've got more of the transactional, historical, and first-party data. And again, other systems do a great job of capturing that, managing it, and allowing you to use it. However, what you need is all of that data together, and that's really, really difficult. That's a huge challenge because there's multiple systems here at play. They very often don't speak to each other. And you're talking about, I've got 5 minutes, okay. You're talking about data that is stored in a data warehouse versus data that is literally going in real time. So what we talk about is reimagining the customer journey. Our point of view is that at every moment, every touch point, you've got an opportunity to actually increase the affinity to the brand. It's not about having one big loyalty program. It's actually about every single small touch point. So going back to the baggage example, that would be an example of a touch point. If you get these things right in the aggregate, you can increase affinity to your brand, and you're using data to do that. So I got to run forward. The way to do it, connect all your data. It starts with the customer, getting all your data into one place around your customer, what's going on in real time. Secondly, using artificial intelligence. So we've got about 20 brands that we work with, from Emirates to Air New Zealand to others. we store every single interaction, every click, every movement as somebody goes through not just the booking flow, but actually getting on the plane, in a profile for each and every person. And as a result, we've got more guest profiles than LinkedIn and more data than Spotify and iTunes combined. The only way you can personalize at that kind of scale, and when I say personalize, I mean literally one-to-one, not that you're part of some large-scale segment, but actually literally one-to-one, is through the use of artificial intelligence. So real quick on this, if you read all the reports lately from Salesforce, Oracle, Adobe, you'll say the future is here today, right, with artificial intelligence. So does it mean that as a marketer, your new boss is a robot? Does it mean that maybe your bonus is going to be a self-driving car? Well, no, it's a lot more pragmatic than that. And for us, artificial intelligence is just allowing a machine to do what a human can do themselves. That requires human intelligence, some cognitive ability to do things like identity matching. What happens if people are coming in on your website and they're not self-identifying, but they're showing behaviors of somebody who has come in before? Or maybe they're coming in from the same, with the same cookie or same IP address, or maybe they've given a partial bit of their maybe social security number, not social security, but like a credit card number. That's identity matching, and that's resolving who actually you are. Building up predictive segments and classifications. This is no more than adding things like propensity scores, adding attributes based on lookalikes. You look like another cohort that we have in our database. This is understanding what brings you here today. And real-time context awareness. This is like walking into a shop and the salesperson comes up and after a couple of questions can interpret what it is that you're actually looking for. Maybe you're there with your kids. Maybe you can tell that they like sports. It's guiding that person to the right purchase. We do that in Boxever by bringing together things like your behaviors. What behaviors are you exhibiting right now? So we can help understand what you need right now. I know I'm very short on time, but let's go back to this example. So it shouldn't be this way. You've lost your bag. The airline has the data. Why can't they tell you? So another way to think about it is, or better experience, a better outcome, would be that imagine the airline was capturing your information right even before you got on the plane. When you booked, through to check-in, through to taking off. That information is continuously being added to your and everybody else's profile, who was flying. But then the operational system indicates that your bag hasn't made it on the plane. What next? Well, shouldn't the flight attendant on the flight be able to look at an app and be notified that, number one, a bunch of bags didn't make it on the plane. They belong to people in these seats. Maybe it's 15 people. And one of those 15 people actually happens to be part of our premium loyalty level, our platinum level. And what we're recommending is that you upgrade that person in flight to first class. So you've lost your bag, you're told on the plane, you're not very happy, but at least you've been told, and you've been upgraded to first class. When you get off the plane, then you're updated again on Facebook Messenger, the status of your bag. It'll arrive in 6 hours. Facebook Messenger instigates a chatbot. You've got questions about it, so you're integrating with a chatbot. Chatbot can help you to a point, and when it runs out of steam, it then directs you to the call center. Automatically connects you to the call center. The call center agent doesn't go through the normal questions of who are you, what's the problem. They know who you are, they know what the problem is, and they can offer a resolution based on your question. And they can, again, because of your loyalty status, can proactively offer you something like complimentary town car. That's great, you get the car, and then you get a follow-on survey. I think the survey response will be a lot better in that case than in the first case when you just sat there in the carousel. So no, I've rushed through that, but this is what we believe is the way how things should be right now. It starts with getting data around each and every customer, understanding who they are, what they're doing, and applying artificial intelligence to do that at scale, understand who they are, what segments they fall into, and then connecting those insights into operational systems. Thank you for that.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much for the great presentation. It's just a question on artificial intelligence. In your opinion, how efficient the artificial intelligence system is? You know, many AI systems suffer from false positives. So if your system end up misclassifying a customer, and then you might be providing the wrong service, which they may not like, and
Exactly.
that turn out the experience to be negative, not positive.
Exactly. Yeah. So great question. So much as we'd like to believe we could, we don't just come in and install our system and then walk away. In fact, we work with our customers to make sure our system can learn. So for example, if you're doing an identity match, we work really closely with our customers to make sure that the algorithms that we're using and the scores that we're applying to make sure that we think we know who you are, that works for their particular environment. So it's a constant case of machine tuning as well as human tuning, and exactly. And sometimes you get it wrong, but what we have found is there's absolutely no other way to deliver that kind of one-to-one personalized experience that the offers based on who you are and what you're doing right now, without applying techniques around machine learning and data science techniques to understand who you are, what segments that you fall into in real time or static segments, so that we can then apply our decisioning capability to define what offer you send out. So, but it's a challenge for sure. Question? Okay. Thank you.